doing there, Christian?
It's going pretty good. How about yourself, Brendan, my boy?
Well, what do you think about my new accent that I'm going for? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that bit all fucking night. Are you kidding me?
That was quick.
That's a terrible fucking gag. I can't be doing these fake ass accents anymore.
What's going on, Brendan? Are you not feeling it anymore?
I'm from Chicago. You know,
I'm from Chicago.
I'm from the upper Midwest right now. I sound like I'm slowly feeding into the. Hey, what are you doing? The transatlantic accent. Hello.
Francie.
I ain't doing that. All right. Every single
Now
time.
back to the news.
Every single time I try for one of these fucking these bits with an accent, I feel I cringe at the other end of the tunnel, Christian. I can't keep doing this to myself.
I just can't listen to this episode, huh?
No, honestly, that's what's going to happen. I get anxious. I get upset. Kind of like what happens in this movie when I watch it anytime.
Whoa, that's spicy. That's a tease, a little foreshadowing for the episode to come.
Yes, sir.
Man,
yes, sir.
I want to get into this. Will you do me the favor and read the summary so we can get into it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hiya, kids. This week, we're going to move a little fast through the intro because Papa's got a plane to catch. Don't worry, we'll still have time for the games at the end. I would never deprive the listeners of the best part of this whole shebang. Anyway, to open up the show, I wanted to talk about some of my friends and how well they do as roommates. First off, I'll talk about my elusive friend, Jordy. He's pretty quiet, tends to mind his business most of the time, and is always respectful of personal space. If I ever need the space, he's always down to help out and takes care of his end of the chores. Weirdly, though, he always has hamster food next to his computer setup. Next on the docket, close friend of the show, Justin, comes in a pretty respectable level. One of my favorite things is that he's recently been trying up his cooking game, which always makes the place smell good. Although there was that one time he made peanut butter squid. I'm still getting the smell out of my favorite t-shirt. The last one I'll mention here is my dear co-host, Christian. I just got to say, despite what is probably common thought, awful roommate. He always stays up late playing video games, and even when he does finally go to sleep, I can hear his snoring from across town. The only thing he does right is work out in the room all the time. I can at least get a good pump on with him. And man, does he go at it. You know, maybe he's not so bad either. Well, anyway, all of this has reminded me of a movie I once saw, so let me tell you about it. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a comedy about two guys who get lumped together when their plane from New York to Chicago is diverted and canceled due to a snowstorm just before Thanksgiving. The pair must now work their way from Wichita, Kansas, back to Illinois some other way. As they do, nothing ever seems to go right. More plane cancellations, trains not working, even getting robbed of all their cash. As things continue to go wrong, one of the men, uptight salesman Neil, has enough and parts with his traveling partner, Dell. However, it is not for long as fate continues to bring them together in mysterious ways. Ultimately, both of them learn a lesson from each other, and it culminates in a heartwarming moment between them that could be the foundation for a lifelong friendship. Or maybe they become mortal enemies after this. I mean, did you see all the shit Dell pulled in this? Give me a break, man. Yeah. So, Christian, hey, I'm happy to open up with some fun facts about my experience with this movie. In fact,
please do.
So I am no stranger to this movie, but it might surprise you how often I've exposed myself to this film. So this is a very popular 1980s comedy starring Steve Martin and John Candy. I love him dearly, love him to death. This is an absolute classic amongst many spaces. I do enjoy the hell out of this film. The first time I saw it, though, actually wasn't even that long ago. First time I saw this movie, I was probably like 23 years old, and we watched it, funny enough, like on Thanksgiving Day. Like we watched it as like, hey, we want to watch like a movie tonight. And then my cousin at the time was like, oh, I want to watch one of my favorite Thanksgiving movies. And I was like, oh yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, I mean, at that point I was like, yeah, I know of it, but I've never seen it yet. At this point, my favorite comedy was Airplane, which I advocated that night to watch Airplane because it's fucking hilarious. But my cousin was adamant, like, no, we should totally watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's totally fair. It was myself, my cousins, and my sister at the time.
Your sister at the time? Is she not your sister anymore?
No, she's still my sister. I meant like at the time she was also there. What the fuck? Of course she's still my sister.
It's like I know, it's just the way you phrased it. It's like my sister, like my girlfriend at the time.
You're right. That's fucked up. Okay, fine. Pardon me. Sometimes the English language, Christian, is sometimes confusing. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, it's sometimes our words and the way that we phrase things, needs some help, needs some careful attention. Anyway, we were all watching this movie together, and I'm gonna be honest, from start to finish, I was having a great time. And counter to the point that I want to make, my poor sister, I think maybe because I was 23, 24 at the time, and then she would have been closer to like 28 or 27, 28 or something like that, and she had moved it to her newer place of residence, which was a very stressful thing for her. So she travels a lot for the holidays. I personally do not as much, or at least when I do it, it's not something I have to pay for out of my pocket normally. Even when I was working a lot on the road, it was always paid for me. So between the two of us, she's a little bit more in tune with what it's like to travel, especially on your own dime and these long stretches. So what I'm getting at is here, she hated this fucking movie, and because she was so fucking stressed the entire fucking time. I'm going to be honest, Christian, the first time I watched this movie, I had a great time. I was there. I was able to just enjoy the moment, the beat to beat. I understood where my sis came from, and that this movie is just the manifestation of everyone's fucking fears when traveling through public transportation at any given time. And just because everything just fucking slaps you over the face over and over and over again. I didn't get it in that way. I watched it today, or rather the second time I watched it, and by extension today. Dude, this movie is fucking stressful. I don't think I can watch this movie too many more times. I think it's not that my enjoyment has gone down. It's that I'm seeing what my sister saw more and more every time I watch this movie, and it makes me feel more and more fucking anxious. Dude, I'm not even kidding. Very recently, I've had to deal with several plane issues that I've never had to deal with in my entire life. Up until this past year, I've never had an issue where a flight got canceled and I had to find alternative flight plans or like do new flight logistics to get me from point A to point B within the same night, or risk having to stay the night at a fucking hotel room.
This was the thing we did a couple months ago, right? Yeah, that was crazy.
I have lived firsthand some of these trials and tribulations. I now have firsthand experience with the shit that poor Steve, also known as Neil in this movie, that poor Neil was going through in this fucking film. And brother, can I tell you, I wouldn't wish half of this on my worst fucking enemy. It's horrible. I hate it. This movie is really good at being a comedy. I'm not gonna fault it for that. But motherfucker, it does just heighten your anxiety all the way through the length of this fucking movie. My anxiety just starts going up and up and up with every new fucking problem these poor schmucks come across. Half the time, and you can't even blame just Neil or just fucking Del. They're both kind of fucking stupid. Like, at one point, I'm like, Neil, you really need to learn that Del cannot be totally fucking trusted. You got to look out for numero uno. And Del, for fuck's sakes, man, can you please go 5 fucking minutes without it negatively, actively impacting the mission here, brother? What is wrong with you guys?
Oh my God, yeah. Go
ahead. No, please go ahead.
I was just gonna start interjecting my own thoughts on the movie. I pretty much agree with you in that there are faults on both of these characters. They are both extremely flawed, and they're in the ways that they are flawed. It's obvious. It's not subtle. They beat you over the head with it, yes, with a steel frying pan. And not only that, there's the travel aspect of it too, which to me, honestly, the travel aspect of it was like, it was annoying, and being in that situation would be annoying, but half of the travel woes are kind of, again, caused by one of the other characters doing something wrong, and then especially when it comes to cars. But I'm also a pretty easygoing traveler. I don't usually tend to stress out too much in situations like this, because I just generally keep the mindset of like, I'll end up getting to where I'm going. To be fair, I've not had anything necessarily as potentially dramatic as like not making it home for Thanksgiving dinner. Although, even in this, you would think that one or two hiccups is like okay, because Neil clearly gave himself a couple of days before actual Thanksgiving to get home. He's obviously missing all of these other life events for his children, especially. But like, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I'm okay in theory. Like, there's time. I've got options, but he doesn't help himself. And then Dell is a menace, a fucking menace. This entire movie.
Menace.
I cannot stress enough that Brendan, I'm gonna have some hot takes throughout this movie.
Oh boy, I didn't know we were taking a hot take Christian tonight.
I don't like Dell for most of this movie.
Really? You don't like him at all?
I don't. He has an almost redeeming moment in the hotel room, the first hotel room, when there is a very valuable lesson that he can teach people, in that being comfortable in your own skin and loving who you are is important. And I agree with that. That's a very respectable and commendable stance to take and lesson to keep with you throughout your life. And Neil can definitely learn from some of that. Almost the rest of the movie, I can't fucking stand Dell. I'm sorry. He is built to be an unlikable character with all of the things that he does. And then you're just supposed to feel sorry for him at the end of the movie when you learn his wife has been dead for 8 years.
I think you're being a little disingenuous. I don't think he's framed as being unlikable. I think he's relentlessly framed as being fucking annoying. But for the most part, his heart's always in the right place.
He's a fool.
Right.
His heart is your heart can be in the right place, but like like everything he does is a blunder. Like he's a bumbling fool half the movie. Like he doesn't he doesn't pay attention to his surroundings. There's so many things that happen throughout the movie that are entirely preventable if Dell just wasn't involved. There are some things, of course, that are Neil's fault too. Like he's not free of blame here, and neither am I going to say that Neil is the likable one. He's also unlikable. He's just an asshole all around. But I mean, he especially starts the movie, and the whole idea of it is that they have things to learn from each other, but it's mainly Neil learning from Dell half the time in like a moral sense, because Dell is the sort of moral high ground sort of character with how nice he is and how friendly he is. He's
that's
like
why you can't say he's unlikable. He's literally the version. He's literally the character that is the only nice guy in this fucking movie. He's just also a fucking idiot.
Right. I guess saying that he's built to be or written to be unlikable is not the right way to put it. You're right. But I didn't like him. I found pretty much anything he got up to be the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
And there's a couple particular instances, some that are probably not controversial to anybody, but others that might be. I don't know. We'll get to them as we go through the movie here, but I just got to say that, man, overall, this movie, I was kind of looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. I've heard of this movie. I'd heard it's good. I saw pretty good high ratings from across the board. It's Steve Martin and John Candy. What's not to like about those two actors? They're both phenomenal in what they do. But man, this movie was a bit of a letdown. And maybe that's part of it too. My dislike for the movie as a whole is just that progressively, I just couldn't stand by what was happening over and over again. So
yeah,
those are my preliminary thoughts here. Why don't we dive into the beginning of the movie here?
Yes, of course. Well. Of course, we start the movie getting introduced to Steve Martin's character Neil. He's for whatever reason he's like doing some fucking selling shit in New York. I guess that's what he does for a living. He's like maybe like a brand or like advertisement.
Yeah, he's like
activation.
a marketing guy.
Yeah, I don't know, some kind of marketing motherfucker. And we're immediately introduced to Steve. You know what? I have to give this movie credit in one huge way. This movie relentlessly and actively does really fun setups over and over and over again. And I do like it a lot, even though they're all preventable. Every single one of these are preventable if your characters are just better people. But I do love there's a lot of like long con setups in this movie through like, you know, dialogue or through decisions made and actions made that I really appreciate. Starting with the number one things after Steve Martin is, you know, he's freaking out because he's like, I gotta get to my fucking plane. So we're already setting him up to you know be in a rush. So he's gonna make some fucking mistakes immediately following this meeting or whatever because he got to catch his plane. Presumably it's like, you know, 4:00 in the afternoon. He's got a 6:00 flight. When they're leaving the meeting after the meeting was like, all right, well, we're gonna compete after the holidays, and then Steve Martin's like, wow, fuck, I wish I would have left fucking 3 hours ago if we were just gonna meet after the meeting. He was telling his buddy like, oh shit, I left my hat and gloves at the other motherfucker's desk, which is going to immediately become a problem for the duration of this movie because he never has fucking hat and gloves for any point in time when he's outside of the fucking cold for the rest of this film.
Was it a hat too, or was it just gloves?
I think it was maybe it was just his gloves, but
because he has the hat, like the what do you call it, like a fedora-esque hat or something like that at some point.
But even if he has that hat, that's not a winter hat. That's like,
I know.
I assume maybe like a winter cap and like some gloves or something like that.
I see.
You know, like he left his winter shit at his buddy's desk or whatever. But he's like, hey, you know what? And he tells it to his buddy. He's like, all right, well, you know, if I go straight to the airport, I'm only going to be outside for like 15, 20 minutes. I can make it. I'll just leave it there. Do you mind picking it up for me, bud? And he's like, yeah, sure, I got you. So anyway, so we're already setting it up. Okay, so Steve Martin, not going to be ready for the cold. That's going to definitely come back to bite him later. Which I do see. Stupid shit like that I find hilarious. Steve Martin goes outside. He's trying to catch a taxi. Everyone and their fucking grandmother is trying to get a taxi at this time. Steve Martin, my anxiety is already on the climb. He's in a mile long line for the next like actual queue for a normal taxi that isn't the yellow cab that you fucking hail down like, you know, old fashioned 1980s New York or whatever the fuck. And he manages to find one that is vacant, and then he gets into a fucking runoff with Kevin Bacon for a minute.
That's it. This is the movie starting off strong. I was in on this one. Like this is a good part, bit. Great.
For whatever reason,
a race with you know what Kevin Bacon's character is credited as in the movie?
Who? What?
Taxi racer.
Taxi racer.
He's referred to as taxi racer in this movie, like his credit.
Oh,
hilarious.
Man.
Awesome.
That's fucking awesome. Well, unfortunately, Steve Martin and Kevin Bacon in the race between them, Kevin Bacon comes out on top and Steve Martin nearly fucking dies, by the way. Almost gets run over by a fucking car that's driving along the road, and Kevin Bacon goes like, fucking later, sucker. And Steve Martin's like, oh, fuck. So Steve finds another cab that another motherfucker catches, and he's like, hey, sir, I'm so sorry. I'm like really late for my flight. I know you just hailed this. Can I please take this from you so I can get to the airplane? If I don't get there, I'm not going to get to Thanksgiving on time. I want to appeal your good nature. And the guy's like, yeah, I don't have a good nature, but you can pay me for it. And then Steve Martin's like, how's $20? And he's like, I think 50 would be better. And then Steve's like, wow, okay, fine, 50. He's like, well, if you're going to do 50, surely you could do 75.
What a line.
I know, right? Through all this, but also this movie, extremely quotable. I love a lot of the quotes of this movie. I gotta give this movie more props to that too. So in all this bit, when Steve Martin is like begrudgingly, because he knows he's got to get to the fucking airport, talking to this guy, the guy's like, oh, and I'm a lawyer, by the way. That's why I'm fucking heartless. He's like, well, fucking could have fooled me. The cab at this point, the cab driver is like, he's not waiting for these guys. He's not going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you're my guy now. Like, cab driver doesn't give a fucking shit. He's like, is there any of you guys coming in or not? So when neither of them are giving him any attention, he moves on. Another motherfucker comes out of the woodworks, soon to be future John Candy's character, and starts helping himself to the cab, as he should, because he is a paying customer and these schmucks are wasting everyone else's fucking time. So the cab driver starts going away. Steve Martin finally looks up and realizes that he just gave this lawyer guy $75, $100, whatever they ended up the negotiations at. And Steve Martin's like, "Hey, that was my cab." And then the lawyer guy, he just starts doing his own thing. He's like, "All right, well, I guess I'll hail another one. Whatever." Steve Martin, you probably should have just decided to hail a new cab. You probably should have just taken that one on the chin.
He fucking runs after this other one that's already en route, and like what's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? You're gonna rip the person out of, which was exactly what he was planning to do. Rip the person out of the back seat and just be like, "This is mine now."
Yeah,
no.
Brother, what are you gonna do? Come on.
Now you're gonna catch a charge, and this is wild. I just don't get it.
Yeah, there's nothing good that's gonna happen here, Steve.
It's like,
but you do you.
Funny, but do you, I guess.
I mean, the reality is it's setting up him learning who John Candy's character is, Dell, like seeing him for the first time. And also, if I'm in Dell's position, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Go away.
Yeah.
When Steve opens up the door, or Neil opens up the door, Dell's like, what the fuck? And Neil's like, you took my cab. Get the fuck out of my cab. I forget what happens. I'm pretty sure the cab driver just drives away.
The cab driver just drives the fuck off.
Yeah, he just drives the fuck off. So Steve Martin eventually, I think his like suitcase and shit gets like run over too because he drops his bags, whatever the fuck. So at this point, honestly, I'm gonna say this is a definite. Neil, you're the scumbag here for sure. Dell has done nothing wrong as of right now. He had no idea about your guys' deal.
I mean, okay, we learned a little bit later. I mean, even in this case, it's like, oh, he's a little bit like oblivious to what's going on around him, because clearly there's two men arguing in front of this cab over the cab. So like he's just like, la da 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 da, gonna put all of my shit in the trunk of this taxi and take it now.
Brother, even if he wasn't oblivious to that, if he actively did that, he'd still be in the right. That's my hot take. Dude, these guys, they're wasting everyone. These guys are wasting everyone's fucking time. Even the cab driver wanted to get the fuck out of there. If these guys are going to be arguing and debating over who's going to take the cab, no, I'm helping my fucking self. If he's ready for me, I'm going in. Over. Period. These guys are wasting everyone's fucking time.
Oh, you're insane. you're a menace too.
I'm a menace? No, I'm not. Get the fuck out of here. No, this is a Del W for sure. If anything, he's the only one making sure that the fucking cogs in the machine are actually on the fucking move. All right.
Oh my God.
Neil and this lawyer motherfucker are trying to hold everything back for everybody else.
You don't even like Del for this. You're just happy that the cab driver got to go on his way, dog. You're most happy for the cab driver here.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Del's a good guy here.
Oh God!
Because the most important people in this situation fucking won. Is all I'm getting at.
The most important people are the taxi drivers.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They're the ones helping, dude. They're the fucking workers here. Fucking give taxi drivers don't get enough fucking respect here, dude. So anyway, Dell's the only hero in the situation. Anyway, moving on. So eventually Steve Martin finds his way to the airport, but like he gets there and it's literally like 6 o'clock. So he's like, he's sweating.
There's like there's no way. I don't know what fucking airport that they have him go to, but it's got to be some fictional airport in New York City, because there's no way he made it from the heart of New York City to anywhere, any of the like 3 or 4 relevant airports in that area in that short amount of time. Like he left the office at like 4:30, and then he had a race with Kevin Bacon and had this argument with this lawyer and was hunting down a cab for who fucking knows how long. There's no way he got anywhere in rush hour traffic in that amount of time.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight fucking race right there. And then
like he's sitting like in his terminal at like, I get this is also, I mean, this is maybe more believable because this is pre 9/11 when airports and become insufferable. Yeah. So maybe at that point, security is just like they like look you up and down once, and it's like, all right, yeah, you're good, come through.
No, security used to be super chill. In fact, I mean, you could even look at a lot of older movies that came before 2001. I mean, you could literally, you don't even need to have an airplane ticket. You could just go into the airport and like say goodbye to loved ones that were going like on flights and shit.
Yeah. So like the part that part is fine. This is again pre 9/11 stuff. Getting through airports is no issue, but like getting from New York City to, if he's at any of those major airports,
nonsense.
Nonsense.
That's fucking wild. I don't disagree with you. 1980s. The roads were just faster in 1980, Christian. That's what you're not realizing.
Yeah. So yeah, people just gave less of a shit there too.
Yeah.
It'll become kind of a theme throughout the movie. It feels like that the timing between destinations just seems to not really add up well, but
or at least the behavior or like the perceived like time spent does not truly add up in a significant way for a lot of this movie. And I'll get to that in a little bit later. There's one that really jumps out at me way later in the film, but regardless, Neil eventually does make it to the airport. He finds out his flight's been delayed by an hour. So he's like already sweating, but he gets to his gate and he's like, oh, well, geez, I didn't think I would enjoy this, but thank God, at least it was delayed by an hour. So I'm not going to miss my fucking flight. And that's when he goes to sit down and he catches eyes with Dell, who's also reading like a Russian like porn actress's like memoir or something like that. I don't know what the fuck he was reading, but it was
called The Canadian Mounted.
Oh, the Canadian. Okay, so it was like a Canadian fucking fantasy porn novel or something like that.
Yeah, he's reading. Dell was reading smut. Dell was reading smut openly in the airport,
which is a good bit, dude. I'm just saying, it's a good bit. but
wait. Oh, never mind. No, sorry. Go on. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So at this point, this is when Neil catches eyes with Dell, and then Dell's like, "Are we cool?" And then Steve's looking back and forth. And then Dell's like, you look familiar. And then that's when and then Neil starts going like, yeah, I do, because you took my fucking cab today. Fuck you, Neil. All right. He didn't take shit. He walked into that cab fair fucking square. That's your own damn fault. All right, moving on. And then Dell's like, well, I at this point, he also feels bad. He immediately is like, oh shit, I didn't realize I took your cab. Like, I'm sorry, it was an honest mistake. Let me make it up to you. Can I get you a beer? Can I get you a hot dog? And then fucking Neil's like, no, I don't want any of that. And then Dell's like, well, can I get you anything like a Sprite, fucking Slurpee, Sierra Mist? And then Neil's like, no, I'm totally fine. And at this point, I'm already like, all right, so yeah, Neil's an asshole. Dell's just the kind-hearted dude, airhead that, tries to do his best, but, is inevitably going to cause a lot of problems. But, Neil's bad attitude causes almost just as many problems. All right, hang on. We'll get there.
I agree. I definitely embrace this also. Yes, it's 100% true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But unfortunately, or fortunately, the plane does take off, but because it's headed to Chicago, unfortunately, Chicago is under a super snowstorm at this time of the night. And by the time they're getting ready to land, they have to divert and go to fucking Wichita, Kansas. They couldn't divert to like the St. Louis airport. They had to go all the way to fucking Wichita. That's an additional like 2-hour fucking flight. Yeah, like way the fuck out of the way. And also
like literally only a little bit shorter of a distance. Like New York to Chicago is only slightly longer than Chicago to Wichita.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Chicago to Wichita is like still a 2-hour fucking flight.
Yeah,
like fucking wild, ridiculous. Also, while they're on the flight, at one point Neil nearly gets his ass kicked off because so a million things always go wrong for Neil. By the way, they do this bit where unfortunately he got kicked out of first class and then sent back to coach, and then he's like fighting with the flight attendant. Which, brother, like. Clearly the airline is having some problems tonight. You want to get home. They want to get home. I understand that you might be frustrated. Take the fucking seat. Get the fuck over it. Stop being whatever the fuck you're doing. All right. This pretentious ass. I want the seat that I paid for. Get over it. All right. You're not the most important person on the planet.
They did also even offer him to talk to the airline and they would refund the difference.
Right. Like, that's totally fair. Like, you know what? Fine, fair enough. And okay, now I guess like to be fair, I think we're supposed to be under the impression that the reason that he was bumped is because the guy that came on who knew the flight attendant was obviously a pilot or other flight attendant from another airplane that got pushed into this flight to so that he could be home or whatever. Because like the airliners always do this shit where they're like trying to fly their pilots and flight attendants back and forth so they can make sure they're home by the end of the evenings or whatever the fuck when they're on their shifts and whatnot. So presumably there was probably like a bad scheduling conflict with the previous flight, so they had to throw this motherfucker on this plane, which probably bumped.
I didn't even think that. That's a good point.
That's all the shit that transpired that moved. That's like why this random motherfucker comes out of nowhere, right? That's supposed to be like the hint that this guy probably took fucking what's his name seat. Now he's getting bumped to coach when, you know, he could keep his first class seat. Meanwhile, they could move the flight people to
Doesn't
a
that
coach
guy
seat.
sit in coach too, though? He sits like at the front of coach.
No, when he goes, where should I sit? She's like, you know, right here, there, anywhere's good. So he's presumably got a first class fucking seat. It's just to really rub it in his fucking face. Which is fucking sad. And then Neil is, you know, obviously not, but I'm like, Neil, this isn't your fucking battle. All right. You don't own the airliner. You move the fuck on. If you're on the fucking plane and they wrote that you're on the fucking plane, take it. All right. Take it from me. Get over it. Anyway, moving on. Also, he unfortunately sits immediately next to Del, which I find fucking hilarious.
Because of course he does.
Del never shuts the fuck up to the point where, you know, Neil is even like, you know, I really do better when I'm not in a conversation on planes. And then Del's like, I hear you fucking loud and clear. And then he proceeds to talk his ear off for the next 10 fucking minutes.
Not only is he like, I hear you loud and clear. He also continues to elaborate by saying, yeah, I just hate when people jibber jab the whole time and just don't stop talking, and I just, oh God. And then he does it the whole fucking time, probably. We only see a little bit of it, but he also falls asleep. But
I'm not going to say that I like these people. I absolutely fucking hate these people, but it was really funny.
I mean, the joke is funny. Yeah. But then Del takes the grippers out, and I'm like, bro, come the fuck on. Stop. Stop. He takes his shoes off, and then he takes his socks off, and I'm like, wait, does he take his socks off actually?
He does take his socks off.
He does, right? He takes the fucking grippers out. I'm like, stop. There's no reason for this. Bro, there's no reason for this.
There are so many things in this movie that feel so fucking real, though. Like all of the discomfort and the anxiety is based on real life. I'm convinced. Honestly, this is everyone's fucking fears put into two people.
Well, Brendan, let me tell you.
Okay.
This brings me to a fun fact I have about this movie. It is based on director John Hughes's actual real life experience of a very similar trip that he took from New York to Chicago that got diverted to Wichita, Kansas, and then I think maybe even further to fucking like Phoenix, Arizona. And it took him 5 whole days to get back to his home. And I couldn't find sources that make the same travel path that they do in this movie between the planes, the different trains that they take, the different rental cars, and so on. But somehow he is diverted to like fucking like Denver and Phoenix, Arizona, before finally he just has to make his own way back to Chicago, Illinois. And it takes him like 5 fucking days. So yes, fucking Brendan, this is in fact, I don't know if like all of the in-between stuff, I would be very highly surprised if he had a traveling companion that he drove around in a burnt out fucking rental car with. But there is a lot of this based on true life. So something like the person next to you taking off their shoes and socks on the airplane, totally believable. But also, fuck you as the person doing that. Like, really though.
I think your reactions to these gags, I think, is exactly what my sister was experiencing the first time she watched it. Only instead of anxiety, you just have seething fucking rage.
I'm angry.
You're voraciously angry.
And this isn't even the worst of it. This is just the beginning, and it really
this is teasing you.
This is the beginning of the downfall for Del. There's a brief spike, in my opinion, of him again in that hotel scene, which we'll get to pretty soon here. But after that, boy, does it fucking take a dive.
Oh no.
and not really come back. But man, taking off your shoes. Okay. Not the worst thing in the world unless you've got like especially smelly feet.
Nah, it's fucking weird.
But the socks, it is weird. But the socks, come on, come on.
Yeah,
why do you want that? Airplanes are dirty.
Airplanes are kind of fucking dirty.
You got to put your feet on the rug that's or if it even has a rug, like it's just maybe it's linoleum or whatever fucking smooth ass surface, and the recirculated air that just throws all the garbage and germs around the entire time. Come on, you shouldn't want that, Del. Like, come on.
Oh boy. Well, fortunately for us, Dell's a fucking idiot. So
yeah.
Oh man, I do hate that this feels so real. But this is where I start to be like, the first time I watched this again, I'm like, dude, this is fucking hilarious. Most recent time I watched it, I'm like, this is almost too real for me. This is making me anxious. I feel things I didn't feel the first time I watched this movie, really.
Actually, too, since we're still caught on the airplane, there's the one moment that started the rise back for Del, which is when both him and the other old man are both sleeping on Neil's shoulders, and it's becoming increasingly clear that there's going to be problems with the flight. And Neil turns to Del, and Del's eyes shoot open because he has a sixth sense for Neil, and he goes. Yeah, this is a quotable moment. He goes, $6 in my right nut says we're not landing in Chicago.
And he was right. Boy, was he right. Oh, geez, that's fucking awesome. But yeah, so they land in fucking Wichita. Neil has to call his wife. He's like, well, unfortunately, honey, I'm in fucking Wichita. She's like, what the fuck are you doing in Wichita? He's like, well, they fucking diverted us here. Like, I'm sorry. I can't control the weather, Lisa. I'm just kidding. And then, Del is, hanging out, doing his own thing, getting his bags and whatnot. So at this point, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And unfortunately, they decide to continue hanging out with each other. And this is where Neil, my boy, you definitely should not have taken him up on this offer. But Del goes like, I've got a buddy in the area who can get us a sweet deal on a hotel room. Maybe we should just go. We'll go there and get a hotel room. What do you say? So Neil begrudgingly goes like, all right, I guess, fine. So they take a taxi together.
Not just one, but 2 hotel rooms. He promises Neil that he's going to get his own. Del has already secured one for himself because he knows the guy. He sold him shower rings, which will become a big thing. But Del is a shower ring salesman, and he keeps a wallet of shower rings on him at all times.
Another great bit that lays the seeds for another gag later down the line.
Yeah, this is an early W for Del too in my book, because one of the first things that he shows Neil, I think when they're still sitting at their gate in the original airport, is this shower ring wallet, and I'm like, bruh, all right, I respect the grind.
I respect the grind.
It comes in handy later. You're right, and it is kind of funny, but what are you gonna do? So he promises Neil his own separate room. And then we get there, and it's just like, not only does this old guy behind the counter fuck up with the cards, but he I found it weird. He runs both the cards on that ancient card reader.
Yeah, he does.
But they still only get one room. This confused me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think they ran the charge. They split the charge between 2 credit cards or something like that. Or I assume that's what had to have happened here. So assuming that Del's card didn't go fucking decline when he ran the charge, which it probably declined actually.
Well, Del's Del's. I don't even remember who hands the card first, honestly.
Del does hand his card first. But this old fucking machine, it doesn't know, right? Like it's not like what the kind of card readers we have today where it can immediately tell you if it's approved or declined. Like you have to take a fucking rubbing, which is what that machine is doing, and then punch it into a fucking, computer in the back or at the bank. And then the bank will tell you whether or not those digits are going to correspond to an approval or an approved fucking charge. So what probably happened is, because he has that fucking archaic machine, is he was asking for 2 different cards with the intent of splitting it until Del's card's probably going to get fucking declined. And then it's going to completely go on the first motherfucker. It's going to go on Neil's card. Neil paid for this, is what I'm saying. Neil's 100% paying for this fucking room. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Regardless, at no point do they expand the conversation about getting Neil his own room. They just both go to a hotel room, and then Neil's like, what? So where's my room? And then Dell's like, oh, what do you mean? This is our room. Like, we're here. And Neil's like, no, I'm not doing this. And then Dell's like, hey, come on, buddy. Like, we're gonna be fine. Let's just have a sleepover, whatever. I don't know what he does to convince Neil that this is okay. Like, if I was Neil, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna go downstairs and get another fucking room. Unless did they actively say they didn't have any more rooms?
I think that the point was that they didn't actually have any more rooms, despite the fact that Dell promises Neil he's going to get his own room. And then the owner, the old man, just goes, all right, you guys got one room. And then they both look at each other, I think, when they're at the counter, and just like, oh. And then they get up there and it's like, well, there's only, and then the whole thing is like they're looking at each other. There's only one fucking bed. And they're like back and forth on what's going down, and we have to deal with it. And then there's the shower joke too, where
which one?
Dell goes like, hey, you want to take a shower? And Neil is like, in his head, thinks Dell is asking to take a shower together. and then there's like, no, not with me. I mean, like, you want to go first, Neil? And then Neil does in fact shower first. But what also confused me here is, I mean, I guess I just don't understand. I
don't think Neil showered first. I'm pretty sure Dell showered first, and that's why he's already all fucking cozy.
By the time, whichever way it happened, though, my problem is with Neil's reaction after the fact. Like, he walks into the bathroom. It's a pigsty that Dell has created in this bathroom. So either Dell went first, did all of that, then Neil went in and was completely oblivious, didn't see any of it, and then he walks out surprised and he's and doesn't have a towel, which is the bit in the movie. Or Neil is in the shower, and at some point before we catch up to him in the shower, Dell also is in the bathroom and like washing up and stuff. And then Neil's surprise makes more sense. But still, with the fact that they were uncomfortable with the joke about showering together, I would never in a million years expect Neil to be okay with Dell washing up and doing all of his other shit in the bathroom at the same time, too. Plus, again, like you said, Dell is already very cozy. So unless Neil is taking 45-minute showers, it makes no sense. So either way you slice it, this scene is just like, what am I looking at?
I might be doxing myself a little here, but can I be honest with you? I'm the motherfucker that would walk into that bathroom and not pay any fucking attention to the lack of towels or the fucking mess at the sink until after I was done with the shower. That would 100% be me. I have been that guy. I have absolutely been that guy more than fucking once. When I have a mission like going to take a shower, I am not paying attention to the things that I need or the things around me between me and the shower. I go into the fucking shower, and then I have my fucking realization when I'm done showering, like, oh wait, the towel rack doesn't have any fucking towels on it. I've done that 100 million times to my name, for sure.
I have also done this, and I'm not going to deny that has happened. But the bathroom looks like Dell's suitcase exploded in it.
I don't disagree.
You have to take notice before at some point.
Nah, I'm based.
You know how one-track minded you have to be for Neil to just laser into the shower, turn it on, and go at cleansing himself, to not notice what has happened in this bathroom.
I can't speak for Neil
in here.
I can't speak for Neil, but I am going to oust myself. I would 100% be that guy, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have been that guy on numerous occasions.
Insanity.
Because you know what happens is, like, I don't even notice the mess, or I don't care about it until I need the sink, and then I look down at the sink like, wait a minute, how the fuck am I supposed to wash my hands or brush my teeth? There's all this fucking shit everywhere. Like, where do I put my toothbrush?
Crazy to me.
Yeah, no, this is 100% me. But to your point, yeah, it is still fucking wild. But I'm going to give him the towel rack no matter what, which is hilarious because he looks over to the towel rack and there's only like
a washcloth.
This fucking washcloth, this drying cloth is right there. It's this tiny fucking thing. And then Steve Martin does this bit where he starts like actually trying to dry himself, like grabbing it from behind and like, doing an old fashioned towel dry. That's a good bit. I do like that. Meanwhile, Dell's in the back, by the way. This is back in the old days where hotels and motels had fucking massage beds for whatever the fuck reason. And he put like a quarter in the fucking motor bed, and it just started rumbling as Dell's like, yeah, this is nice or whatever. breaks it, by the way, because apparently it's not designed to fucking run ever or whatever the fuck. I don't even know what they said that caused poor Dell to break it, but that is not his fault. He was using a feature of a mattress that was designed to run. So I'm going to give Dell the other W here. I feel bad that he has to be the one to take the L, but it is not his fault that this piece of shit mattress is not up to code. It's not designed to do the one thing it was fucking built for. Anyway, moving on. They start going to bed, and of course Dell has to keep layering on like more and more things to piss Neil off. He's a total fucking snorer. He's like hacking and yakking in his fucking sleep, and then Neil can't deal with the shit anymore. He's calling Dell out. He's like, I fucking hate you. You never shut the fuck up. I wish you would shut the fuck up. I will go to an insurance fucking, seminar, have them sell me shit for the next 5 hours, and I will sit there listening with a smile on my face because I'll tell all of them, hey, Neil, how can you handle this? How are you having a good time? He'll be like, because I'm not listening to fucking Dell for the first time in my fucking life.
Because this can't be worse than sleeping in a beer-soaked bed with next to Dell. I think his Griffith was his last name or something like that.
Yeah.
This was a decline for Dell here too.
Oh boy.
Neil's down there too for his anger and all of this other stuff as well. But man, like or rather Dell just being like hacking up whatever phlegm in his throat for 5 minutes, constantly shifting. I just God, there was some other thing that he did. It looked like he was gonna like start reading a book also, and he was gonna be like loudly flipping the pages or something like that. Which I mean, that's fine. That doesn't really make that much noise. But he's like constantly fluffing his pillow, and does he start singing at one point too? I think I don't remember anymore. But there was a myriad of things that he starts doing, and I just oh my God,
to tell you. Fucking asshole, stop,
man.
Just whatever you're doing, stop.
Man. Yeah.
I
and
do
then the
love
argument happens. So
they get in a big
argument. And I, Neil blows up in some ways, understandably, with all of the things that Dell is doing to prevent sleep for really both of them. And so he gets mad, kind of understandably so. But then he starts making kind of more personal attacks against Dell, and I can't really stand behind those. And then Dell makes his very poignant argument about, well, I am who I am, and I'm sorry that you don't like it. I'm not going to change because people like me for the way that I am. My customers, my wife, I like me. I love me specifically, he says. And this kind of changes Neil's tune. Neil's still about to like go walk out and like sleep in the lobby of the hotel. But he turns around, he puts all his stuff back, and he crawls back into the bed, and they eventually go to sleep. And
my next favorite scene in this fucking movie.
Wake up so actually, before they wake up the next morning, they get fucking robbed. Some kid comes in and breaks into the room, steals all of the money in their wallets, which we learn later is an exorbitantly large sum of money.
Yes,
for especially Neil. And so then they wake up the next day in what is arguably it's a pretty good scene of them cuddling in this bed.
And fucking Dell is like kissing Neil on the side of the head.
Yeah.
All in their sleep, by the way.
Dell kisses his ear and in his sleep, and Neil is holding Dell's hand, and also Dell's hand is between Neil's cheeks.
Well, hold on. So I love this bit because first Neil wakes up while holding Dell's hand, by the way, and goes like, Dell, what the fuck are you doing? And then Dell's like, I guess I'm cuddling with you. And then Neil's like, what are you doing? And then he's like, I don't know, you're the one holding my hand. And then Neil goes like, well, where's your other hand? And he's like, between two pillows. And then Neil goes like, those aren't pillows. Presumably because his other fucking hand was, caressed very, very
tucked
firmly,
very neatly.
Yeah, tucked very firmly between his ass cheeks.
I like that this implies that since they feel so nice and they're described as pillows, that like maybe Neil's got the cake going on back there in those.
Oh, he's definitely got
trousers.
cake going on. 1980 Steve Martin is actually kind of jacked. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be the one to say it for sure. 1980 Steve Martin is a fucking hunk. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. He needs more tight-fitting dress pants to really show off that badonkadonk, the bakery.
It wasn't the style back in the day, man. It just wasn't the style.
I know, it's a shame.
It's a damn shame. I totally agree. But and then the way they get out of the situation is they jump out of bed, both of them too, by the way, and they all just start going like and then they start like flexing their masculinity for a moment, and then at one point like fucking Del or Neil are like, oh, did you catch the Bears game last Saturday? He's like, oh yeah, it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, they're going all the way. Going all the way.
Great team.
So stupid.
What a stupid fucking gag, dude. I do love that gag. It's one of my favorite scenes in this whole fucking movie. And at this point, they pack their shit up. They go outside. They're sitting outside and they're like, well, now what the fuck do we do? And then Del was like, well, I was talking with the old man. He said that his kid's going to go ahead and give us a lift back to the train station. We're going to take the train all the way back to Chicago. And then Neil's like, oh, okay, I guess that's cool. That'll work. I'll be a little late, but better than, fucking hours and another day later or whatever. And then this fucking redneck punk ass kid comes out of fucking nowhere in a beater of a truck. And at this point, Neil and Del are both. Well, Neil's like, "Is that the guy?" And then Del's like, "I fucking hope not." this fucking redneck comes out, with a bunch of. He's got fucking what do you call it? Chew in his mouth. He's drooling and slobbering fucking tobacco all over the place. He can't, like, every time he even tries to like spit it away, it's not even like a clean spit. He's literally slobbering it. It's falling all over the place. At one point, he shakes Del's hand and then he's trying to spit it out. And then after it fails to spit out, he wipes his fucking face and then shakes Neil's hand. I was like, oh my God, so fucking nasty.
Fun fact. Steve Martin didn't know that was going to happen. So that's a genuine reaction from Steve Martin to that scene. John Hughes told the actor playing as that guy to spit in he was like unhappy with previous takes on how that interaction went. So it was like, do something weird, like, I don't know, spit in your hand. And then he did it. And that was their reaction. And after they finished filming, Steve Martin like ran off and scrubbed his hand clean afterward.
So is that real chew then? I guess it would have to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know. I assume it was real chew. This is fucking 1987, dog. Like,
let's be real. I know. You know that those are real cigs in there for sure.
100%.
Yeah, all the cigarettes that they smoke in this movie, definitely real. They're not fake cigarettes, guaranteed.
Facts.
But yeah, I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then this dude, fuck this kid. Because he's explaining to them. He's like, oh yeah, here, I'll give you guys a lift. Like my fucking, he's talking about his wife is like my stupid wife or whatever the fuck he said. Will help move your fucking bags for you. And then they're like, no, we'll move our bags. We're totally fine. And then he's like, hey, my wife might be fucking feeble, but she's strong. She can get this fucking shit for you or whatever the hell. And
she gave birth to our baby sideways.
She gave birth to our baby sideways.
The baby came out sideways. Like, what?
What a fucking line, by the way. I mean, fucking line.
Champion, if that's true, but
golly.
What the fuck?
So the game plan here is for Neil and Del to ride in their truck in the winter, by the way. So this is going back to Neil doesn't have a hat and gloves. He's got his fucking fedora and his his loose jacket, and that's it. Poor guy's not having a good day. And they have to drive presumably like, I think, probably like 100 miles or something to the nearby train station. I think that's where they were going. Let me consult my pathing here.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers thrown around where initially Del's like, it's only like 30 or 40 miles, but if he takes the back roads, it'll be like 70. But also, if there's traffic, it'll feel like 100 or something like that. The number just kept going up.
And up to keep adding to the anxiety.
Yeah.
And while they're back here, of course, the fucking, at one point Neil does get like shitty gloves, but he drops when they're in the bed of the truck, and then there's a fucking dog back there that's like snarling at him as he's like, "Hey, can I have my fucking glove back?"
Like jump scares them through the hay. The dog was buried in the hay in the back of his pickup truck, and then jump scares them. What the fuck, dude?
So this dog is now being like, "You're not allowed to wear fucking gloves, you asshole." And then Neil's like, "I guess this is my life now." They drive all the way to the train station. They're fucking freezing because they're in an open bed trailer the whole way there, just with no good, warm clothing. And they do this gag where, they're fucking frozen in time. And then the dog is even like chattering its teeth with a bunch of snow covered on him. So all of them had a bad time, supposedly. They make it to the train station. And thankfully, this is where Neil is like, "All right, well, Del, you're a hell of a character, but you got me where we wanted to go. So I'll for that, I thank you." So from here on out, I think it's better we go our own separate ways. But I appreciate being there with you. I just want to spend some time by myself for the next couple hours. And then Del's like, "You know what? All right, that's fair. I appreciate spending some time with you." And then he's like, maybe I'll see you again. And Neil's like, "It's good to see you, Del." It was good talking to you. So they go their separate ways. They're on the same train, but they're just like, in different cabs and whatnot. And then Neil's finally like, dude, Neil is like, he's like, "Oh my God, I've done it. We're so back. We're in there. I'm going to make it back to my family. We're going to be fine. It's going to be a 8-hour trip or whatever the fuck, but we're going to make it." Cut to probably only like 100 miles down the train tracks. The whole fucking engine, or either one or both of the engines, because I think presumably these things are supposed to have 2 engines. Maybe this one only had the one, but the engine just fucking fried. And they have to walk from the train tracks 3 miles to get to the nearest like bus station that can take them anywhere of merit at this point. So Neil is beside himself. He's like, "Oh, the fucking train died." Del is like, "Well, it's another Tuesday, I guess." He's dragging his shit along. Neil's like, I shouldn't hook back up with Del. I'm gonna regret it. Neil, you were gonna regret it, but you did it anyway. He hooks back up with Del. They get back together again. They go to the bus station. they at one point they even have one of my favorite fucking gags here where Del goes like, "So you're in a pretty lousy mood, huh?" And Neil's like, "To say the least, yes." Del's like, "Ever traveled by bus before?" And then Neil just silently shakes his head. And Del goes like, "Your mood's probably not going to get improved much. You're probably going to hate your life even more." So they end up taking a bus at this point. They hook up, they grab a bus. The goal of the bus now is to take them to St. Louis, so that by the time they get to St. Louis, they can take a rental car up to Chicago. And so the bus, they get their bus ticket. They're on the bus. They're having a horrible fucking time, by the way. People are fucking making out. Del goes like, "Yo, Neil, check it out." And then Neil's like disgusted by it. And then Del's not looking away. Then the making out couple look back at Neil and go like, "Hey, take a fucking picture. You should last longer. It'll last longer." Then Neil's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." God,
and then Del laughs at him. It's like, "You got caught, idiot, stupid."
Fucking idiot. You gotta be quicker than that. What are you doing, man? You can't be a fucking creeper, peeping Tom. People are gonna hate that.
Yeah. Or just read books like me.
Yeah, or just read books like me. Oh my fucking God. Another it plays into Del would be into this shit because he was reading smut at the beginning of the fucking movie. Anyway, fucking stupid ass movie. They eventually do make it to St. Louis. Love that for them. It takes them, I don't know how many hours, but several hours. And at this point, once again, Neil is like, "Okay, Del, for real this time, I think we should go our separate ways. I'm gonna get a rental car. You do you." Okay.
Well, before this, you have the montage of Del selling random people shower rings, but as different accessories and other various commodities of some kind. And he makes like $100 fucking doing this in the bus station, where people are just sitting around doing basically nothing,
bro. I
except
respect
waiting
that
for their
hustle.
transportation. And look, I can respect the hustle. Just like the beginning of the movie, he's got this wallet full of shower rings. So why the fuck not? We're short on money. Let's make some money, bro. Totally fine. totally cool. Even funny, some of them, the way he just convinces people. You also see some people in the background of like the restaurant later, I think, with shower rings, like the girls maybe that you last see, I think are also in there or something like that. I forget exactly who now, but I remember seeing a set of shower rings on somebody's ears at some point.
That's funny. I didn't realize that.
Maybe it was a server or something, but either way, yeah. Then they're in this restaurant and Neil is like, yeah, really though, we should probably go our separate ways at this point. And Dell's a bit.
He's a little
sad
upset
about this.
Yeah, he's like, well, I mean, we got this far, we might as well go the rest of the way. And then Neil's like, no, we're not going to do that. And is this the point where Neil figures out that Dell's been broke this whole time, or is that later in the movie?
That Neil figures out Dell is broke.
Yeah. No. That's not now. Okay, I misremembered.
I mean, there's not really any point. The only where that happens, they find out later that their cards were swapped, and well, Dell tells him, but then the only other reveal of what Neil recognizes about Dell is that his wife or something is wrong with his family life. I mean,
right? Yeah. Because
I don't think his finances are ever called into question, really.
Gotcha.
Other than the credit card situation.
So Neil tries to break up with Dell here, and then Dell, he throws a little pissy fit, and he goes like, "Fine, it's good. I'm fucking done with you then." And then they leave the restaurant or whatever. It cut to Neil with presumably a key to a rental car in hand, going out to his space. And what would happen other than as soon as he gets to his space, there's no fucking car there. It's gone.
Yeah, there's no fucking car there because guess what? The car was rented in Dell's name because it was Dell's card.
That's right.
So Dell shows up to this parking, this rental car place and goes, "Oh shit, a car."
She sure does. Wait, totally is not his fault, by the way. Totally on him. It is in his name. How is he supposed to fucking know?
I mean, just yet another time that Dell steals a vehicle away from Neil, though.
Yeah, another time. And then at this point, Neil is beside himself. He's super pissed off. He has to walk all the way back to the rental car place, which is like a 3-mile walk across like an interstate. Apparently, he like walked through a runway. Which I don't know how you made
the rental car. I don't know how you make it again pre 9/11 stuff.
Right? Yeah, just pre 9/11 things.
But the rental car place is in the hotel in the airport. So he walks across the runway to get to it. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, whoa, my man has no fear. There's a whole plane taking off like 100 feet away to his left. And he's just angrily storming across the tarmac. And no one says shit to him.
No one says a fucking word. And this is when at this point, Neil really fucked up because he does two things wrong here. First of all, he's so frustrated at what happened that he threw his rental agreement to the ground and proceeded to not pick it back up. Neil, what is the matter with you? What are you doing?
Idiot.
You are actively sabotaging your own ability to get home at this point. What is wrong with you? So yeah, throws away his rental agreement because he's a fucking dumbass, and goes back to the rental agency, and he just starts laying into this fucking worker. He's making every problem he's had today her fucking fault in every word. With every word he says, he's calling her a bitch. He's saying the F word numerous times, by the way, saying, "Wipe that fucking smile off your face. Give me a fucking car."
I think the fuck count was like 16 or something like that.
Oh my God, dude, it was bad. Like
this scene single-handedly earned the movie its R rating, by the way.
For real. And it's very clear why. I mean, it just lays into this woman. And then the woman goes like, "Okay, well, why don't you give me a rental agreement? We can see how we can fix it for you." And he's like, "I don't have it. I threw it away." And then she goes like, well, that's a shame. And he's like, "Why? What does that mean?" And she goes like, "Well, it means you're fucked." And we just end the fucking scene, which honestly, Neil, you deserve this.
Honestly, Neil, fuck you.
Yeah, honestly, Neil, fuck off.
Dumb.
I get you're having a bad day. It is not. It is. You will never be in the right making your stress other people's fucking problems. Get over yourself. You suck. Anyway,
and then he compounds it with the next scene where he goes up to a normal taxi stand driver and he goes, "Hey, you know where we are right now? Take me to Chicago." And they're still in St. Louis. What?
The guy's like, what are you, excuse me? What? He's like, why don't you take a flight? You'll get there faster. and then he's like, no, you're going to fucking take me to Chicago. And he's like, the fuck I am. And then they get into a confrontation. He decks the fuck out of Neil. Rightfully so again, because Neil's being an asshat again. And then who comes up but our fucking knight in shining armor, Neil, Del, baby.
And for the second time, Neil almost gets his head popped by a moving vehicle.
Love a reoccurring gag.
In the middle of the road.
Love a reoccurring gag.
Man, just so fucking. But this time, yes, this time it's Del, because of course. Old lovable Del just happened to get a rental car when Neil got screwed out of his, so we're in luck. And this is the one time that Del shows a little bit of his own true colors, because he kind of lays into the taxi driver, not knowing that Neil was a perfect asshole just before this.
Totally.
And then the taxi driver, boy, you want to talk about wild shit? You go,
oh boy.
Del asks Neil to help him pick up. Del asks the taxi guy to help pick up Neil. And the taxi guy pulls on his gloves and he goes, more than happy to help. And he grabs Neil by the fucking junk.
Literally by the balls.
And lifts him up. And I was starting, there was a real dislike for this movie developing at this point. But man, I would be lying if I said the next like scene and a half where Neil's voice is 5 octaves higher didn't get me.
Yeah, no, that's a good bit.
It was good. It was good. Bit. I have to admit, but man, just so fucking dumb. So stupid.
I love it. I really do. Now, this is where I start to have a problem with this movie. Now, first of all, a lot of shit happens in quick succession for the duration of this movie while they're in the rental car portion. Now, but what I really want to point out is supposedly they only make it about halfway between St. Louis and Chicago at this point in the fucking movie. For those keeping track at home, I'm gonna pull up my my directions here. Hold on, maps. They flip flop driver in this section. I want to say it starts with Del, then it switches to Neil, and then it goes back to Del. Right. So while they were doing that, for whatever reason, they decided, oh, okay, we're gonna go in shifts, right? Like I'm me, Del. I'm gonna go first, then you can go, then I can go. They drove halfway to Chicago from St. Louis. The entire drive is a 4.5 hour drive. That's driving the speed limit, by the way. They only drove
4 hours.
They drove between 2 hours. They flipped drivers 3 fucking times. Guys, I could handle a 4-hour drive by myself. What is wrong with you guys? And you know what else? Why did they even stop over the night if they only drove 2 fucking hours from St. Louis? Just drive at night. Just go. Fucking do it.
I can assure you they were not trying to stop. There was a very specific thing that happened that caused them to stop and go to a hotel.
Okay, well,
in the first place.
That's kind of fair. Maybe it wasn't dangerous.
There's also the fact that I didn't even realize that it was as short as 4 hours. I knew it wasn't that. I knew it wasn't long enough, but 4.5 hours is like crazy. That's one person's shift on a long road trip. But also, it goes from day to night. It's like the middle of the fucking night when the next highly illogical thing happens between them.
I will say
series of illogical things.
I mean, but this is the Eastern Seaboard. Like, I mean, this is the Midwest, right? In fucking daylight savings time. I will admit it can be literally 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and a fucking hour later, it's like complete fucking pitch black out there. There's some truth to that. Like if you're like within that 20-minute period of sunset, when the sun finally sets, like it's gone. It's black. Like, let's be real. There's some truth to that.
Oh,
I can believe that.
I mean, I agree with you. It's the middle of November, which we're currently in, and it doesn't even really matter if you're. I don't know why it has to be. You have to make the distinction between the Eastern and Western Seaboard, but
that's
going to happen no matter what. It's going to start getting dark at 4:30, no matter what side of the country you're on.
I guess you're right. I don't know why.
It still is like it goes from like perfectly bright out to dusk to dark And there's, like you said, more poignantly, there's shifts in driver several times over the course of this. So basically, and you're saying it only in 2 hours. In 2 hours, they make it halfway, it gets dark, and they shift 3 times.
Apparently, they can only handle
lunacy.
driving 45 minutes at a time each. So
yeah, I mean, Dell's got a bad back, so really, we should be more. Forgiving of this, I guess.
So anyway, Dell's driving first, then Neil takes over, drives for a little while. It gets back to Dell, and it's fucking really dark outside. So Dell, because he's a fucking idiot, he's a smoker, by the way, which we were made very aware of earlier in the movie. He tries to throw his his cig out the window, fails, and it rebounds back into the car. He doesn't realize this, by the way. It's in the back of the cab, like just literally burning a hole in the seats at this point. So we cut away from the cigarette, the smoking gun, if you will, for the next like 20 minutes of this movie, or like 15 minutes of this movie. What transpires next is Neil or Dell putting both of them in a situation. Now I gotta say a couple of things.
This is so fucking frustrating. I hate Dell.
Ray Charles starts playing on the radio, and Dell is having the fucking time of his life. He's air pianoing, he's air saxophoning. The car's going all over the fucking road. He is not paying attention. In fact, I'm pretty sure at one point he's doing the sax solo with his eyes closed.
Yes, and hands off the wheel.
Oh my god, Dell, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? He's having the time of his life, making the worst fucking decisions possible right about now. I gotta give it to Dell, or I gotta say this against Neil, though. Neil, what the fuck are you doing? You're telling me you didn't feel any of this? You're just napping on the side? You're okay with all of this, by the way?
Sleeping through the loud ass music was alone a
hard
feat.
To believe.
I am also known for sleeping through loud noises, but man, I would never. He's not already asleep even. He's like in the process of falling asleep. When Dell starts playing this loud fucking music. So it's completely wild. And then all of like the little bumps and swerves that he does because he's all over the goddamn road while he's doing his singing. And then the next thing that happens, which is his fucking coat gets caught in first the seat adjustment knob, and then it gets caught on the other side, which I don't even remember what it gets caught on.
I think like the seatbelt holder or something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, it gets caught on another thing. And now Dell is hands off the wheel, and he can't get the little loops of his sleeves free of these two things.
So his hands are like stuck.
His hands are stuck at the sides of the two seats, and there are a myriad of things he can do that will not put them in such a maybe put your foot
on the fucking brake, Dell.
Like maybe fucking break the goddamn car first of all, or instead of trying to pry the sleeves free, just take the fucking coat off. You were trying to take it off, it got caught. You can still take your fucking arms out of the sleeves. It's not impossible. You're not glued to the goddamn coat. You can still slip your fucking sleeves out.
I think this is Dell's, and I'm gonna give it to probably fat guy logic. I think he was having problems getting his hands out of his sleeves when they got caught. I think that's just what the reality is. He doesn't have the mobility that an average person would have in that situation, probably due to his size or due to a myriad of things. But listen, I'm gonna be honest. I've been in a situation. Okay, well, break the fucking car is still on the table.
Not break BREAK. I can't even fucking speak. I'm so angry.
I know.
Brake. Hit the brake pedal. Hit the fucking brake pedal.
Because he's literally, he's actively doing shit with this vehicle. He's got to be putting his foot on the throttle in order to maintain speed. Dude.
Yes.
Get your foot on the brake pedal. What are you doing?
And his solution is, I'm going to fucking drive with my knees. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
What are you doing? Dell, what is wrong with you? So he takes an exit. I don't know what his game plan was either. He just takes an exit for whatever the fuck reason. And then instead of pressing the brake, as he's taking the exit, he waits until he sees a stop sign at it. He's like, Well, I guess I better press the brake now.
No. There's a stop sign, and there's clearly like a cliff they're about to run off of. So finally, he's like, okay, I guess I'll slam the brakes. But they're cruising at like 80 miles an hour. He also did not mean to take this exit. He just ends up he hops the border between the oncoming traffic and the way that you're supposed to go, and this leads him to spin out, and as he slams the brakes, and and then, oh my god, and then he drives back on the same road, this off exit for the highway. He drives the wrong way on this off exit, and then he's driving on the wrong side of the highway now, but for some reason he can't tell
that it's the same fucking road that he took out there.
That is the same road he took out, or B, that he's on the wrong side of the road. Like, how do you not realize that you're on the wrong side of the road? It's not even like it was a pitch black, like, side road in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere. There's street lights. You can see that off to your left is not oncoming traffic. It's the forest. That should automatically be an indication of like, hey, we're on the wrong side of the fucking road. How did this happen? What am I doing? And then oh my god, even more frustratingly, there's this couple in this other car that are driving on the right side of the road. They're like, holy shit, these stupid fucking idiots are on the wrong side of the road. And they're like trying to hail them and be like, hey, get back over here. Guys, you're on the wrong side of the road. You're going to actually kill yourselves and other people. And they're like, and then, I mean, they try to have this gag, and it just made me hate the scene even more, because they're like, you guys are going the wrong way, which bad choice of words on the part of this couple. Because then the two in the car, Del and Neil are like, what are they talking about? They don't know where we're going. How do they know we're going the wrong way if they don't know where we're going? Oh yeah. And then Neil agrees with him. He's like, oh yeah, that's
this is flawless logic. This is flawless logic.
This is flawless logic. You're so smart, Del. Why didn't I think of that? and then Neil does the thing that I'm talking about, where he sees the divider between the oncoming and the way they're supposed to be going, and he goes, holy shit, we're going the wrong way, Del. But it's too late, because now there's two fucking semi-trucks coming straight the fuck at them. And because Del is the worst driver that needs to have his license revoked, he's looking at Neil while he's talking, and Neil is actively pointing in front of them going, you're on the wrong side of the road. You're on the wrong side of the road. And Del's like, what? What are you talking about? And looking at Neil instead of looking at the road where they're going.
I love what happens next too. We get this bit where Neil has like a light flashing before his eyes, or they both get scared to literal death because they do a flash of them in the car as skeletons, and then Neil looks back over at Del, and Del's the literal fucking devil.
Del is the literal fucking devil.
Listen, buddy, come on.
I nah, dude. He almost killed them, dude.
It's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake.
This is the dumbest shit on the planet.
Oh, fuck.
This was the point of no return for Del's character for me. I don't care what anyone else says about this. He almost actively killed them. And then the next part where they gather Del's shit because Neil no longer owns anything of his own on this trip. He has nothing to his name anymore outside of the wallet that is now burning in the car, because remember the cigarette bud? It's now burnt through the upholstery, and they both look back at the burning car, and neither of them says anything. Neil's face says it all. I was like, me too, brother. Me too. And then they have the dumb comedy moment where they look at each other and they go, we just both saw the same thing, right? And they're looking at the burning car. And man, if there's one scene that I relate to Neil at all in this movie, because throughout the entire thing, he's mostly just a fucking asshole. It is this. If I turned around after that and the car was burning, I too would probably be laughing, because it's the only thing I could do to stop myself from like throwing Neil down a cliff. Throwing Del, down a cliff.
Yeah.
Dude, this is crazy.
Oh
Oh fuck!
I was beside myself watching that scene. I almost had to chuckle myself because I was so like also.
I did chuckle. It's funny. It is funny.
It is funny, but I was chuckling both because the scene was funny and also I was like third hand angry also.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, that's the anxiety. The anxieties gets you, dude. Or in your case, just seething rage.
Just rage, dude.
It's all rage. It's all rage. Yeah, this is a low point for Dell. This is Dell's lowest point in the movie for sure. Well,
no, Dell's lowest point is when he's sitting outside in the fucking cold in the burnt out car when Neil's got an actual comfy hotel room in about 10 minutes.
well, so that's like physically and actually Dell's lowest point, but I think in terms of like, you know, character impression, this is bad.
100%.
Dell, you fucked up here. You fucked up big here. Like good guy or no, nice guy or no, that you fucked up. Like, come on, man. Be sensible, please. But you know, they get back in the car after it's done burning, presumably, or mostly done burning. Because they even have a comment later, like as they were driving to the hotel or whatever. Like, man, I bet I had fucking grill marks burning through my asshole after we got back on those seats. It was still burning through me while we were driving around. All of the internal upholstery and fucking dash and everything inside the vehicle is just completely melted, deteriorated, incinerated.
And they pull up to the motel and Neil has a scene where he is taking his hands off the wheel so they can go inside and they're sticking to the burnt fucking rubber of the wheel. and
he's looking at Dell. He's like, "You fucker."
God,
the way he looks at Dell, dude. So they go to the motel. Neil, at this point, he's lost his wallet. He's lost all the cash in his. He has no money. He's got a burnt $10 bill in his pocket and a watch. So he goes to the motel. There's like the dude's like, all right, well, it'll be $42.50. And he's like, I don't have $42.50. And the guy's like, well, then I can't give you a room. And he's like, what if I gave you? I think it was like $17. Like
I think it was like 20-ish maybe, and then his watch.
And then the guy's like, all right, fair enough. There you go. And then Dell in the back, it's like, all right, I would like a room too, please. And he's like, okay, do you have $17 and a decent watch? And he's like, well, I don't have $17, but I do have a watch. It's a Casio.
I've got $2 and a Casio. My boy's like, nah.
He's like, absolutely fucking not. That is not a clear deal. So at this point, Dell is going to be sleeping outside in the cold car for the rest of the night. And Neil gets his fucking hotel room that he wanted. Then he looks outside and then he sees that Dell is, you know, fucking shivering, sitting in the car. And then Neil's like, I can't make him do it. I'll let him in. And then Dell's like, oh, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. They have a great, you know, bonding moment. They have a good laugh about the burning car. They get drunk off of the motel shooters that are, you know, presumably they're not free. I don't know why they're just
Brendan, this movie just doesn't fucking make sense. They don't have money and they're just eating all the food and drinks in the goddamn room and it can't be free.
I don't think it's free.
Away. God,
I'm pretty sure it's not only not free. I think they just intended to not pay for it. I think they were planning, since they paid in cash and what do you call it, like pawning in that watch, they were just going to be like, well, fuck it. We had a bunch of alcohol and now we're just going to fucking bounce.
Who cares? I don't live anywhere near here. They can't track me down. Fuck it, dude.
Cut to what will eventually happen.
Oh my God. I just before we get to that, I just got to say, there's a version of me I want to say is pettier than Neil and doesn't let Dell come into the room. I know in my heart of hearts that I would absolutely let Dell into the room, but I would definitely not have this bro moment. There is no way in fucking hell I'm eating and drinking with the guy who almost fucking killed me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna let you in here because I don't want your possible death on my conscience when we presumably drive this fucking
when I wake up the next fucking morning and I have to take this death trap to where I actually want to go. I don't want your corpse in the car too.
But we are not having a moment together.
There are two. Thank God there are two beds in this place. You can take the one. I'm going to go the fuck to sleep now. Don't say a goddamn word to me. Don't say a goddamn word to me. I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah.
That version of me is real.
That sounds about right, actually. Oh, man. I think I'd have a bro moment, maybe. I don't know. It would depend. I need to do some soul searching on that one. Probably not, though. I think you're right. I think I'd be in the same.
I would be hard pressed. This is such a nonsense comedy movie moment to have something like this. I just can't get behind it whatsoever. There's no way in hell.
But
after everything, not even just the near killing, the near homicide, all of the other shit on top of it, the grippers on the plane, dude, like that alone.
Yeah. I don't disagree. But They end up having a bro moment tonight or that night. Then they wake up the next day. They try to get the car unstuck because it was snowing that day. And Dell's behind the wheel, which is already again, Neil, what the fuck?
Fool.
Why is Dell behind the wheel? I would ban that motherfucker from ever touching that steering wheel ever again. Period. He is not allowed to drive. He lost rights. He lost his privileges. Period. Yep. But for whatever reason, Dell is trying to get it unstuck behind the wheel, and Neil is the guy trying to push the car around. And at one point, Dell's like, "Well, give it a push." And then Neil's like, "I'm trying." And he's like, "All right, well, I think we need to give it like a running start." All right. And then Neil's like, "Okay." And then Dell's like, "All right, I'm gonna put it in reverse." Puts it in reverse.
Straight through the fucking the wall of the goddamn room they were just in.
Just straight through the fucking hotel wall. Absolutely fucking destroyed. And then they look at each other, and then Neil's like, "Fucking move! Put it in drive! Go! 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 Go!" Because Neil does not want any of this fucking headache at all. So they essentially just destroyed a fucking hotel and ran. They did a hit and run. They destroyed property and fucking ran.
And in this one instance, they can absolutely get away with this because guess what? They paid for those rooms in cash.
Yep,
they did
will
not
absolutely
put it on credit this time, so they can't be traced.
Nope, they will absolutely get away with this.
And there's no way in hell in 1987 that shitty motel had working security cameras.
No, they're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. Even if that's assuming that the car even had a fucking license plate that was legible after the burning.
That too.
The fucking fire. Anyway, so they start driving back home to Chicago, by the way. But by the way, regardless where the motel is, again, when they get stopped, presumably it's only halfway to Chicago before the next leg of the trip. So they're driving again for some length of time, going 89 miles an hour or whatever the fuck. And I also really like this scene, too, where a police officer pulls him over and he goes like, "Do you have any idea how fast you were going in this fucking thing?" And he's like, "Well, actually, officer, I was just talking to my compatriot here. I actually don't have any idea how fast I was going. You see, my instrumentation of my cluster here, the entire thing has been melted down. So I have no accurate representation of what my speed was going on my speedometer." And then fucking the cop's like, "So this, you can't know what your speed is, and it has no mirrors, and it has no lights." And then Dell's like, "Yeah, no, absolutely not." And he's like, "So you think this is a safe vehicle?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'd bet my life on it."
So, of course.
Fucking, what a fucking dumb.
Oh, Betsy has never let me wrong.
Oh, Betsy never let me down. So yeah, the cop goes like, "We got to impound this fucking piece of shit." And then Dell and Neil are like, "Dude, no, please. We can't. We're not going to be able to make it to Thanksgiving on time if you do that." Anyway, so it gets impounded. The cop does not give a fucking shit.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. So they get sent to the nearest town, wherever the fuck that is at the time. And at this point, Neil talks with his family one last time. He's like, "I don't know. Maybe we'll make it. I'm trying. I'm doing what I can here." And then Dell comes in from around the corner with a fucking milk truck and goes, "Don't worry, Neil. I've done it. I found our way to Chicago."
And a black eye also, by the way.
Yeah, right. And then Neil's like, you can tell this is Neil almost said no. He was ready to be like, "I can't, I won't do it. Like, I can't risk one more fuck up with you for the remainder of my life, let alone for the remainder of my time trying to get to Chicago."
All of the different ways that a tractor trailer can roll over so easily would be going through my head.
Yup. Well, he decides to go with Dell. Only at one point, he thought that Dell and him were going to be hanging out in the cab up front. And then the truck driver's like, "No, I'll let anyone up front." So they just hang out in the literal fridge. The fridge. Christian, he doesn't have his hat and gloves.
Nope.
Oh fuck! They hang out in the
Well,
literal
actually, I think
fridge.
he does have like a hat on. I think they both have some kind of winter hat. I don't remember gloves.
I think he does buy a winter hat at one point.
But it's definitely. But wait, yeah, you might be asking yourself, with what money did they buy these things with? I don't fucking know. Who cares? Stop asking questions.
I bet they stole it. I'm sure they fucking stole it.
Stop asking questions is the answer.
They just started helping themselves to shit at some point. So thankfully, Christian, this roller coaster, this endless train of rage and frustration is finally the light at the end of the tunnel is within view. They make it. They've done it. They get to Chicago, and they say their goodbyes. Dell decides to stay at the train stop that whatever they get to the whole time, and then Neil goes off and he starts reminiscing about their time together. Neil's a softie. He starts piecing together that poor Dell is probably a very lonely guy, because he knows that he has a wife, but he realizes at one point Dell also mentioned that he hadn't spent any time with his family in years. So Neil goes back because he's a softie, and he goes like, Dell, what are you still doing here? And then Dell's like, well, I don't really have a place to go back to. And then we learn that poor Dell, he was married. He had a wonderful wife, wonderful life, until he didn't 8 years ago. And Neil decides against everyone's best judgment, Dell, why don't you come home with me? And sure as shit, they go home together. They go to Neil's place together, spend Thanksgiving together. And you know what? The moral of the story, Christian, is even when John Candy fucks your life up to all hell, you still invite that motherfucker back to Thanksgiving, because you know what? That's what being a good person's all about. Oh, hell.
I
want to reiterate, this is a great movie to me. This is an easy 8.5. I'm not gonna say 9. This is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. I'm just going
8.5.
But I got it. No, I love this movie. I really do. I think it's a great comedy. My only complaint is that the more I watch it, the more anxious I get and more angry I get. I will admit.
God, what was it before?
It was comedy. I just had fun.
No. What was your rate? What would your rating have been before today?
No, it's the same rating, 8.5. It stays a solid 8.5. I give it an 8.5 on all of its merits. It's just that my emotional responses are changing as time goes on. But you know what, Christian? It accomplishes what it sets out to do, regardless of my emotional response.
Make me angry? Yeah,
well, I mean, you're Neil. Congratulations, you're the Neil, Christian.
No, I'm worse than Neil.
Yeah, you are probably
Neil
worse
invited
than
him home for Thanksgiving. Dude, Neil has that whole reflection on the train. There's no way in hell that I'm having that same reflection. You're done.
You're looking back on the train and you're like, God, I fucking hate him.
I finally got rid of the guy who almost killed me. I'm done. I don't end up back at that train station to ask John Candy what's going on with his family life. Again, against a version of me that I want to say exists is I'm Neil in that moment. I go, damn, that's crazy. And then we part ways again. The real me is like, yeah, I'd probably also invite Dell back to my home to spend Thanksgiving with me, because I just don't want, like, the sad puppy dog look on his face would absolutely get to me. And learning about his wife and hearing how he spoke about his wife the entire time we were together would probably, make me go, okay, yeah, you seem like you've been pretty lonely, and I would I come spend Thanksgiving with me and my family, and just so that you can be together with other people for an important holiday. That is me. I would have done that. But if I was in that situation, I can almost guarantee you I would not have had the self-reflection on. He was looking back on those moments with, like, wistfulness, happy.
No, he thought it was like, funny. He's looking back and he's like, honestly, it's been kind of funny. It's been kind of fun.
It's not funny at that point. It's funny in like months
but you're
from
done.
now.
You're at the other end. Everything that stresses you out is always funny
dude.
when you're at the other. Okay, no, that's not entirely true.
It's funny. It's funny in like weeks, months from now. It's not funny when I'm on that train. You know what I'm feeling on that train? Relief. Also, I'm probably asleep.
I'm fucking freaking out about the car that just got impounded that also was burned to the ground, and how I'm gonna fucking pay for that on my credit card. That's the only thing I can think of in this fucking movie when I get to the end.
Yeah.
That car, that car is in Neil's name, by the way. It's on his card and in his name, and there is now no car to return. So that's going to be a $20,000 expense.
There's also maybe somebody will figure out who we are and charge me for the damage to the motel. There's also maybe those tractor trailers had front-facing cameras and can figure out and send a bill to us. Also, all of these things would be swirling through my head. I'm not laughing yet, dude. There's so much other shit to worry about.
I would be anxious as fuck. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I would not be staring wistfully out the window, reminiscing on all of the good times that weren't really good times that I just had with this dude, And I will the fun fact here, movie production wise, is that this particular scene was kind of unscripted in the sense that Steve Martin didn't know that the cameras were rolling in this moment. He was just thinking about his next lines and laughing about them. So the smiles and the small giggles you see him have in that scene were not scripted. He had no idea what was he didn't know that the camera was rolling, and then they used that shot because it feels more authentic.
Oh, that's cute. I like that actually. That's so adorable.
Fun fact to add to the anger. This movie was originally, when they filmed it, all of the and cut together, its very first edit was 4 fucking hours long.
Wow! What?
This movie was almost 4 hours before they really started hammering it with edits.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
really?
I think it was 3 hours 47 minutes or something like that.
Dude, release the fucking Plane, Trains, and Automobiles Snyder cut. What the fuck?
No fucking thank you. You won't catch me dead watching the
Snyder cut of
Absolutely
Plane, Trains,
not.
and Automobiles.
This movie is an hour and a half long, and even that I was tearing my hair out. Not necessarily because of the length, but because of all the shit that happens. But
I will be honest, this is this is only a 90-minute film. It feels a lot longer when you're in it. And I think that's in large part due to the anxiety or in your case, the frustration from the scene to scene, because you already know that the next gag they're putting in front of you is going to piss you off. And you know that it's going to be bad. You're just you're not even on the edge of your seat. You're just oh God, I have to experience this with them for the next 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Before we move on to budget stuff, did you happen to catch the post-credit scene?
No, there's a post-credit scene?
Yeah.
What?
There is a post-credit scene on this movie. Move over, Marvel. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was doing it in 1987.
Fine. Sure.
It's very short, but the post-credit scene is of the boss at the fucking beginning of the movie still looking at those 3 goddamn designs in the office, and he's disheveled and he still can't make up his mind, and it's 30 seconds of him just very worriedly, and he's got Thanksgiving dinner next to him that some schmuck intern probably brought him, and he's sitting there and he's agonizing over these 3 designs, and that's it. That's the post-credit scene.
Oh my God.
In case anyone was worried about what was going on back in New York.
That's incredible. You know what? I remember I even fast forwarded it a little bit to see if there was any gotcha end bit or whatever, but I couldn't find anything, so I just closed it all out. So I'm actually really surprised there's an end credit scene.
You had to wait for the very, very end.
Wow, incredible.
I also just want to say, with the end credits song that is also used at a couple of other points in the movie, somebody cooked hard. Somebody really cooked for this end credit scene.
The song. Yeah.
They take all of these lines from the movie and put it over a beat, and at several points, do you have any idea what kind of guy you're messing with or whatever, just intermixed throughout the movie too. I was I thought at first it was a glitch or some kind of problem with the audio in the version of the movie that I was watching. And then it kept happening. I was like, oh, this is a bit.
Yeah.
I had
That's
no
pretty
idea.
good. That's pretty good.
I mean, it was funny. Somebody cooked hard.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's a very quotable movie. I love the lines in this fucking movie. It's fantastic. This is almost exclusively an 8.5 out of 10 for me because of the first time how much enjoyment I had with the funny before the anxiety, and also just by sheer volume of quotable content. Fan fucking tastic. The writing in this movie does all of the heavy lifting. The scene progressions, I'll be honest, I'm looking at them with rose tinted glasses. I'm a level with you. They are harsh to me now, but all things considered, I still think it's a funny movie with extremely fun character and script writing. So I stand by that.
I don't agree, but I can respect your opinion, and I can see why people would like this movie.
You're like, I understand what you're saying, and respectfully, fuck you. I hope I never watch this movie again.
No thanks. Respectfully, no thanks.
All right. Well, Christian,
hey,
buddy. You know, I think it's finally that time of the night. My favorite time of the night, or at least, you know, the part where I get to talk the most. Christian, This, of course, is the budget time where I want you to tell me what was the budget for this fucking film. And, you know, we already know the year. We know it's the year of our Lord, 1987. A comedy in 1987, even if it is Steve Martin and John Candy, which are not small name actors, by the way, at this point in time. These are very well-known individuals. They're very funny. I think Steve Martin had already done some stuff with SNL at this point in time. John Candy, of course, had done plenty of stuff by this point in time. So these two are not strangers to the theatrical market. But of course, everything has a much smaller budget back in those days. Or do they? Christian, what is the budget for this movie? Tell me. Come on. I know you got it.
I don't know. I mean, it is 1987. It is a comedy. Comedy's not known for super high budgets. Don't typically have CGI problems. You're really just spending money on the names that you have and, you know, some marketing. But in terms of budget for the movie, it can't be a tremendous amount. If I'm reverting back to my Scooby-Doo metric, it's definitely probably it's definitely less than half. There's no way they spent $40 million on this movie. So I'm gonna say that we've got ourselves maybe a little bit more than a quarter of a Scooby-Doo budget. I'll say $25 million budget.
Okay, a little more than a quarter of a Scooby-Doo.
A quarter of a Scooby-Doo.
Quarter of a Scooby-Doo. All right. Well,
which would be 20 million for the record, but
okay. So 25 million. That's where we're landing.
That's gonna be my guess. That's gonna be my guess.
All right. Well, Christian, I'm going to be honest. You overshot it just a little bit. It's 15 million, man. Come on. This is an old time movie, baby.
Yeah.
This is 1987. What was Blues Brothers for a sec? I got to look this up really quick. I forget what it was. Blues Brothers. Because that's around the same time. Well, no. Or well, it's 80, but what? No. How much was the Blues Brothers? Because that's a good.
You know, I don't remember. But
Blues Brothers was much higher.
Probably not. Oh, really?
It was almost twice the budget.
Oh, okay.
That's actually interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. I think I would have guessed a little less than Blues Brothers, but then again, I didn't remember what Blues Brothers was anyway. But for it to be literally half, that's interesting to me. But yeah, the budget of this movie was in fact 15 million, which that's an easy number. But Christian, this is moving on to the most important question. What did it make? Now, this is, of course, a cult classic. Everyone and their fucking grandmothers know this fucking movie, whether they've seen it or not. Through word of mouth alone, 90% of people, especially in the United States, have at least heard of this movie at some point in time, right? So of course this has to have a relatively high cult following. What do you think the people in 1987 enjoyed if something from this? Do you think they enjoyed this movie or not? Did they go see this movie?
I mean, I'm sure people ran to the movie theaters to watch this.
Okay.
It's got John Candy and it's got Steve Martin, both very beloved actors, into their stardom at this point in time. So what did it make? I had to have made a substantial amount of money. I want to say that this movie made pretty, especially on a $15 million budget. This movie made bank. I'm looking at like 70 or 80 million here, and that might even be undershooting a little bit, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I know it's 87, so I don't know if this is necessarily adjusted for inflation, but really, who cares? Let me feel and taste that. 70 million. Yeah, I think I'm going to err on the side of caution and go 70 mil.
70 mil, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's your final answer?
That I'm locking it in.
All right, Christian. The answer to this question is unfortunately less than 70 million, only 49 and a half. So roughly $50 million. This movie made only 3 times its budget, give or take.
Only 3 times. Yeah.
So of course, yes, it's a slam dunk, but this is actually not, believe it or not, a movie that was like universally beloved and people flocked to the movie theaters to see this movie. It was just, at the time, it was just seen as like oh yeah, this is a good holiday movie starring, two decent actors. We enjoy this. I actually think, and this is my hot take, this is a movie that became far more popular after it came out of the movie theaters, where everyone learned about it through word of mouth. I don't think everyone flocked to the movie theaters to see this movie as much as everyone flocked to watch this movie on the holidays when they had access to it. Because this is definitely this is a VHS. Well, for all you Zoomers out there who don't know what a VHS is. This is a VHS, the thing that was a precursor to DVD. And if you don't know what a DVD is, ask your fucking parents. A precursor to DVD. This was in everyone's fucking VHS collections, like nation fucking wide. I would be beside myself if this wasn't smacked in the middle of your fucking VHS cabinet next to the old classics like, fucking National Lampoon or even like Alien or Jurassic Park, E.T. Like this is one of the greats that everyone fucking has in their fucking movie collection. And all that being said, even I had it in my parents' movie collection and I never watched it until I was like 23.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, apparently it was just very, very solid W, but not like the fucking slam dunk that we think. It did not make Avengers money. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah. No, who's surprised?
Color me surprised.
All right. It's okay. I feel good about my guess for the most part still.
Yeah, it was still pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. I enjoyed my time as always trying to guess. I feel like I did pretty good on that one. I don't remember what was the last thing we did.
The last one we did was Death Becomes Her.
Right. Actually, I think I remember doing kind of okay with that one too.
I think you did pretty good on that one, actually.
All right.
Putting it in terms of the Scooby-Doos, I think worked a lot because of the CGI in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Although you did have a wild take where you said that there wasn't that much CGI. And I was like, brother, what are you talking about?
Well, a lot of it, a lot of that movie was practical, though. There was CG. A lot of it
was practical. That's true.
There was CG, especially towards the end of the movie, like when they Lego brick and the scene in the middle of the movie when her head is turned around for 10 full minutes, or the hole in his ex's stomach, like that all of that is obviously all CG.
True.
A lot of the other stuff was practical. But anyway, this is a time for Letterboxd reviews for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I'm so fucking ready. Let's go, baby.
I've got 5 reviews here for you, Brendan.
Okay.
And let me tell you, as you already know, people like this movie a lot.
I bet. I know I'm one of them.
Yeah, with a fucking 8.5 star rating. That I highly disagree with, but a lot of people.
Can you tell me? Yeah, what's the average? Are you willing to tell me the average? I want to know if I'm clocked in on the average.
Right now, the Letterboxd rating review average is across 1.5 thousand reviews is sitting at a 3.8 stars,
which is 7.6.
7.6.
Yes.
So you are higher than the average Letterboxd movie reviewer.
Okay, fair enough. I would have assumed it would like normalize that at 8 out of 10, but I'll accept being a little inflated by a point. That's fair.
IMDb puts it at a 7.6 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 92%.
I do think this is a fresh fucking movie. I mean, I understand if it's not your cup of tea, if it makes you fucking angry. This movie is pretty one of a kind. I like you cannot recreate a movie like this without just literally ripping this exact formula. Like you can't use this to propel yourself into a different kind of storytelling. This is a one of a kind sort of story and narrative that I think only works if you literally make this exact fucking movie.
if you just lived it, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, we got some reviews. I got a couple kind of longer ones here because they amused me.
Sure.
And also just generally speaking, I've tried to, for the sake of my co-hosts, try to find Letterboxd reviews that have maybe a little bit more substance to them to garner your ratings a little more backbone. So rather than just going, I fucking hate this movie, or something that's totally not related to
give me something to lash my fucking teeth to. I'm just kidding.
So here we go.
Yeah.
The first review for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The most liked review on letterboxd.com with 1,325 likes.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate this film.
Oh, boy.
Because every time I see it, it makes me so happy, and then I want to dance, boogie woogie, do some somersaults and backflips, pop and lock, and even a twirl and a fame jump or two, but I can't because I'm built like an elephant and have the motor skills of a pregnant hippo. And I really, really miss John Candy.
Dude, same. Me too, brother. I feel like that has to be a 5 out of 5.
You're goddamn right, Brendan. That's a 5 out of 5 star review.
I was a little scared when you froze. I was like, buddy, I don't want to break your heart, but I was like, oh no. How dare you use the name of our savior in vain and not give him a 5 out of 5?
Yeah. They were on board for it.
Perfect. All right, good. I'm glad.
They were here.
R.I.P. John Candy. I do love that guy.
R.I.P. John Candy. I realized it's been a hot minute since he actually passed away too.
It is. Yeah. No, it's been several years now.
So that being said, I'm gonna give you. I'll give you one of the longer ones. Mm-hmm. This works well in a holiday setting, but as a pure comedy, it just doesn't tickle my funny bone. It has an interesting premise and 2 great leads, but the execution is just underwhelming. This is a very classic holiday story with charms and heartwarming moments, and for the first half, the gags land pretty decently. I like the weirdo chemistry between Steve Martin and John Candy, and it carries the movie through some of its less glamorous parts. However, the writing visibly shows its weakness and repetitiveness later on, causing the momentum of the story to hang by a thread and a very broad, very cheesy ending. Although festive, fails to end the story with a bang. A bit of a letdown for me.
I think that's a very fair review, actually. I even if I don't agree with 100% of his takes, he had the idea that this movie was carried by their chemistry and not by the writing of the narrative. I think there's a lot of merit. There's a lot of truth to that. And I can even agree with that in my heart of hearts in a big way. I just also am fine with some of the bad narrative because you need the stress for this movie to work in tandem with the fucking chemistry of these characters. But I don't disagree with a lot of what he said. I think this is a 2.5 star. This is a 2.5 star review.
Ooh, you were close.
Oh,
you were very close.
What was
3 stars.
I was thinking 3, but I'm like, no, that might be giving him too much credit. I'm gonna go 2.5 to play like a safe ball. Fuck, damn it. Oh, I was feeling it though. I was in tune. I was in tune.
Yeah, you were there, dude. You went right off the bat. You were like, that's a fair review. I understand. I went, oh, he's locked in. He's got it. He's got this.
Damn it. Undershot.
All right. One for 2. Let's see if we can make it 2 for 3. We've got this reviewer saying, unfortunately, the scene where John Candy drives into oncoming freeway traffic was the most relatable part of the film for me.
That's it?
I'm going to say it again. Unfortunately, the scene where John Candy drives into oncoming freeway traffic is the most relatable part of the film for me.
OP, are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? Well, I don't even know. Like, are they saying because it's relatable, it must be high? Or are they saying because they nearly killed themselves that it's low and they hate themselves, so they're going to give it the same rating? I don't know, Christian. I don't know which way the pivot moves.
I know. I said I gave you ones with more substance to make this not a problem, but this one was so out of left field that I couldn't help it.
I'm going to say I'm gonna say 2. I'm 2 out of 5.
Wrong end of the spectrum, my friend.
Fuck,
This is a
it was a 4 out of 5. God damn
it
it!
was a 4-star review.
I was like, I don't know if they're saying it's the only thing I relate to it, therefore I'm going to appreciate it, or if it's I relate to killing myself and I hate everything, so I'm gonna hate this movie. Like I couldn't find it, man.
They couldn't believe how closely relatable that one scene was. It was as if they had played out a scene from their own life that they gave it a 4 out of 5 stars.
I think it's a simpler thing, Christian. I think it's the most relatable because it's what they physically want to do with themselves today.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
All right. Let's see if we can pick it back up in the back half. I'm gonna give you the slightly longer other slightly longer one as well.
Yes.
The humor in this film was completely lost upon me. And John Candy, its sole attempt at a saving grace, can hardly improve upon a script that derives its jokes from its two protagonists' respective neuroticism and disgusting nature. Roger Ebert claimed that the film underscores the fundamental truth about human empathy, but that is a cheap look at the film's plot. It is true that Steve Martin's character eventually becomes more empathetic, but how? Through a series of manipulative events and twists that show us that Martin's character, though maybe more similar to the average viewer, is truly cold and despicable at heart, while the obnoxious character played by Candy has a heart of gold and is a victim of life's unfairness. We experience a deluge of conversations and conveniences that slowly prod toward a destination that feels forced and manipulative. As a comedy, it is not funny, and as a drama, it is too one-note and not incisive at the least. I don't know what incisive is. It's like the opposite of decisive.
Yeah, I assume. Yeah, I agree.
Incisive,
so I'm gonna say
intelligently analytical and clear thinking.
I'm gonna say this. Fuck you. It is funny. Number 1. Number 2. I agree with everything else you were getting at, but I think you hated this movie. This is a 1 out of 5. It has to be. Yeah, we did it, baby.
we got one back.
But all I'm saying is, while we're here, dude, this movie is fucking funny. That is completely disingenuous. To say that nothing in this movie is funny is fucking wild. Get over yourself. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, to say that nothing is funny is, I disagree with that. There are some moments that it has, especially towards the beginning before I just like really dislike both characters that hit pretty well. And even kind of sometimes in between, but you know, to say nothing, they also go like a lot of the humor is just lost on me, which I mean, I can kind of get to, like, you know, if it's just completely lost and just not the target audience, then sure.
Right.
Whatever happens. All right. 2 for 4, batting 500. Let's see if we can have a positive above half KD with the last review, which says planes, trains, and automobiles. More like planes, trains, and automo-feels. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Turkey emoji, Canadian flag emoji. Well, Canadian maple leaf emoji.
What a fucking review. I don't know. I think it's slightly above middle of the road, but not a 5. I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. That feels 4 out of 5 to me.
Oh, good job, Brendan. That was a 4 out of 5 star review.
About 50% average. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Oh man, dude! If only I fucking dialed in that 3 out of 5, I could have had my best score of any fucking recording.
Man. That would have been incredible.
Shit. Damn it. That fucking sucks. I hate this. Damn it. Now I'm gonna be fucking depressed for the rest of the night now. God damn it. Now first John Candy and now this. I'm just kidding. Fuck. Those are good though. You know, honestly, those are some pretty fire reviews. I actually appreciated all of those reviews, even the ones that I'm like that were like super low that I would normally like be like, oh no, that's stupid. I don't think they were bad reviews. They were very honest and genuine takes. Maybe just like veiled in a little too much criticism in light of the fact that this is also just a dumb comedy. Like be ready for a little bit of dumb. It's okay. We can have fun, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I for fun went to some of the half-star reviews and man, they were just scathing.
Yeah,
with their reviews. Like sometimes half-star reviews are like kind of funny because people have dumb things to say, but I scrolled through like 2 or 3 pages of half-star reviews and people were laying into this movie saying that like liking this movie is like a crime, or
Oh my god.
people who like this movie have no brains and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Stop.
That's
Come on,
just,
man.
It's just too much.
Be sensible. Be sensible.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Do you wanna take us out for
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah,
outro,
of
my
course.
friend?
If you like what you heard this evening, I'm going to do this with a
damn it.
Chicago accent, even though I fucking hate listening to it in my ears. If you like what you heard this evening, am I even doing it right? I don't think I'm doing it right. I think I'm fucking something
I don't think
up.
you're doing it right.
I think I sound almost like I'm from New York or something like that.
I think
or Jersey.
It almost sounds like you're trying to channel your love for the movie The Departed, and just be
I sound like I'm
them
from
in-
Boston. You're absolutely right. All right, fuck it. I can't do it. I'm not doing that. If you like what you heard this evening, you can follow us at Panda Sightings. And if you want to send us email directly, you can email us at pandasightings@gmail.com. We have a Discord if you'd like to talk to us directly. You can find that in our link tree and all of in the places with all of our information on wherever you're listening to this at. And we're on every platform now. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to support us more directly, we have a Redbubble where you can buy some stuff for either our One Piece of the Line podcast or this one. And simultaneously, if you also want to support us directly and financially, hold on for this next part. Is the other thing now the thing, or is it still the other one?
It is still the Patreon at the moment. I mean, by the time this is released, I have no clue. So,
you can support us on Patreon.
We'll say Patreon for now, but with coming changes to a different platform at some point in the future, probably.
And speaking of Patreon, we have our top tier producers of Taco and Ren, and this is Taco's movie. Taco, hope you enjoy your absolutely fantastic review of Airplanes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Thank you for your generous contribution to our funds, but also I can't help but feel like I need to apologize, not for what I said, but because you were probably expecting me to like this movie, and I can't tell you that I like this movie, honestly.
Don't worry,
so
Taco.
sorry.
I still like this movie. As I get older and as I watch it more and more, I start to realize I think I dislike how real it is, but that's just because I'm being taught the harshness of the world that faces me. I'm coming face to face with the sorrows of the world, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. Taco and whoever else is going to probably look at the length of this recording and go, "Oh, they must have loved it so much. They had so many things to talk about. It's a 2-hour recording." No,
boy, are you in for a shock?
Boy, were you wrong.
Oh fuck! All right, well, I had a great time for sure.
Maybe more half right. I mean, I had a time.
you had a time.
Right. I always enjoy recording.
That's fair.
Recording the movies is always fun. Sometimes when I dislike the movies, it can potentially be more fun. It's always more fun when I like the movies, but when I unexpectedly dislike them, like this, it makes it entertaining, at least. But all right, thank you for joining me, Brendan. As always, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
And I'll catch you, audience, next time with maybe a special guest you don't normally hear from.
Excuse me?
A little tease.
What?
A little tease.
Boy, I hope it's who I think it is.
Who knows?